Hello. We asked for blessings today during the second Sunday service. For any that may be watching live or even the replay, that whatever time they're watching this in, whatever space, that something within this service may serve whoever is taking part, and for me also. Thank you for joining the second Sunday service. Getting a couple other things squared away here, making sure we're ready to go. I'm starting a few minutes early, as I think any members that watch it are mainly going to be watching the replay, so we're about 10 minutes early, but that's all right. So, as per our last Sangha, what we're going to do again this time is we're going to start with a different mantra. We are going to then do our second lesson in Course in Miracles, and then lastly we're going to talk about our Crystal of the Week. Okay. So let's start up with our mantra now that we've said our opening prayer. Every week I'm trying to offer a different one, a new one, so that you can kind of pick and choose which ones resonate the best with you, which ones you want to incorporate into your home practice. So last week we did Om Namah Shivaya, and this week we are going to do what's probably the most popular in Kundalini Yoga. We're going to do Satnam. And you may hear this a lot during your Kundalini yoga practice. Like in other yoga practices, you hear Namaste a lot, and with Kundalini, you probably hear Satnam even as a greeting. The meaning of Satnam essentially is, I am truth, or truth is my essence. Basically, that your entire highest self is only truth, the I am. And so when we use Satnam, you can use it in many different ways. You can use it with your mala beads and repeat it 108 times, skip over your guru bead, and you can use it that way to do sort of a mindfulness mantra practice. You can also place your right hand over your heart space. You can place another hand around your sacral or solar plexus chakras and repeat it that way. As sort of a ritual to slow you down a little bit. We're going to use this mantra in a traditional Kundalini style, and essentially what this mantra will do for you is that it reaches into the core of everything going on, and it brings you into the alignment of your highest self in this very fast way. It very quickly cuts out the excesses that are troubling us, much like in Om Namah Shivaya. But in this instance, it also works on a physical level. It can work with the glandular system. It can work with really just balancing our minds and bringing out the truth that stays buried within us, especially when we're struggling to be present and to be mindful, and we're buried with this hustle and bustle of life. It really is such a powerful mantra meditation to use, and essentially it just cuts to the quick of our core essence and returns us to truth, to what is, to I am, and nothing more. So you can just sit in a comfortable position, legs crossed, whatever you feel like. And we're going to do a mudra with this one. Cross your left thumb over your right, and we're going to have our Jupiter fingers here pointing up, sort of like a Charlie's Angel kind of thing. And those are going to go up over your head. You can probably even kind of see my shadow here, but essentially it's going to look like this over your head, left over the right. And those fingers are going to stay pointing up, and you want your underarms sort of tucked in towards each other a bit. So you're going to be pulling your shoulder blades in towards your median center. Your headline should be very straight, and you can just tuck your chin just slightly towards your chest. And what I want you to do for this one is to sort of place your eyes, even though they're closed, you're going to be sort of looking and focused on your third eye point. So even though your eyes are closed, you're really focusing on that point right between the brows there. And you're looking at it without looking at it, and you're giving it that mindfulness, and it's awakening this deep truth within you. The mantra itself is a bij mantra. It's a seed mantra. And the seeds of truth, really, what you can envision is that it starts at your base, at your root chakra, and you can envision sort of this weaving that this energy does, like a serpentine weaving, and it's starting at your root, and you can envision as you say the mantra, it's coiling up through all the chakra points, and that energy then is released on the exhale through the third eye. So it very quickly balances all of our chakras, our meridian points. So when you say sat, it's a very quick sat, and you're going to envision it weaving, and then on the exhale, nam. So let's do a few minutes of these together, and we'll probably just do about 30 seconds or something and test this out together, and then you can do it yourself in your home practice if you don't already do it already. Okay, so we're going to get our mudra. Take a moment to align with what your intention is here, and remember the meaning of the mantra as well. When you say sat, pull in that solar plexus, kind of pull in your navel point into your stomach, and then on the exhale, you can envision all that energy just releasing. Sat, nam. Sat, nam. Sat, nam. Sat, nam. Sat, nam. You should be feeling the heat coming now into your arms, maybe even into your hands, into your stomach area. And that heat is an energy point. That's the energy that's part of the Kundalini practice. Embrace it, even when it gets a little bit uncomfortable. Sat, nam. Sat, nam. Sat, nam. Sat, nam. Just a few more here. Sat, nam. Sat, nam. Sat, nam. One more. Sat, nam. Take a minute to take a breath and let that really strong energy you feel in the tightness of your arms and in the coiling in your belly. Let that Kundalini energy kind of just roll through and embrace it. So I'd be interested to see if you incorporate that a little more, how you choose to do it. If you choose to use your mala beads and kind of just more focus on the meaning, or if you choose to incorporate it as a Kundalini practice and how you feel your energy points align. Yeah, keep me posted on that. All right, we're going to move on to A Course in Miracles, Lesson 2. So, if you recall from last week, if you watched the replay, I discussed an intro to what A Course in Miracles is, how it's a channeled work, the meaning of it, and how the lessons build. So I'm not going to go back over all of those details again. Check out last week's service if you want to hear more about the origins of A Course in Miracles and all of that. But I will briefly recap Lesson 1. Lesson 1, if you watch the replay, you will know, was the idea that nothing I see in this room or anywhere near me, nothing I see on this desk, nothing I see on this wall, nothing I see on this body, nothing I see down the hall or on the street means anything. You were supposed to practice applying this idea to your everyday life throughout the week, that nothing I see on this crosswalk actually means anything. Nothing I see in this bedroom means anything. And so often I think that we look around and we see these things we've acquired in our lives that are meant to identify us, even to ourselves and especially to others. Our book collection, our crystal collection, whatever our shirts say, we identify and we seek to procure items that also allow us that label, allow us that identification and that sense of identity. So to say this body doesn't mean anything reminds us that, I don't want to give away lesson 2, reminds us that we are giving our power away, I'll say, to the things that we choose to identify with. So hopefully you were able to sort of apply that throughout your week and that you remembered not to exclude anything, that you weren't ritualistic about it, but that you didn't choose, but this thing does mean something, this is different, because nothing is meant to be excluded. So that brings us to lesson 2. I have given everything I see in this room or on the street, from this window, in this place I'm at, all the meaning that it has for me. I have given everything I see all the meaning that it has for me. And that's where the choice of giving our power away to a label, an identification, an item, or an idea comes into play. Because these things do not actually mean anything. And what in our minds they do mean is only what we have come to believe they mean. To say, this photograph of my great-grandmother, it's the only thing I have of her, and it's very meaningful for me. The picture itself means nothing. A photograph means nothing. It holds no meaning except the sentimental or idealistic value, the intrinsic value that we choose to give to it. Otherwise, it's just a piece of paper with pixelated image. It's nothing except what we choose to give it. Thereby, we then begin to see how the Course in Miracles allows us to change our thought process around things. Because it's not just, does this thing mean anything? But do these words that are affecting me mean anything? Does this belief that I hold mean anything? This limiting belief, or, this self-identifying belief? Does this argument mean anything, or does it hold only the power that I choose to give it? If something devastates me emotionally, is it the words themselves that are actually truly devastating, or is it our perception of them and the power we give them? If our homes burned down today, and those things that are irreplaceable, those things we can never get back, our grandmother's nightgown that, we remember her wearing and she's no longer with us, and that's gone. Is the meaning of what that person was for you gone, or is the item gone? The meaning you give it, is that gone? And why do we give it meaning? I'm going to actually read from the book now instead of regurgitating my own thoughts here. The exercise with this idea, I have given everything I see in this room or on this street, from the window in this place, all the meaning it has for me. The exercises with this idea are the same as those for the first one. Begin with the things that are near you, physically, and apply the idea to whatever your glance rests on. This phone holds all the meaning that I've given this phone all the meaning it has for me. This bottle of drink, I've given all the meaning it has. This piece of paper, this dog. Then you will increase the range outward. Turn your head so you include whatever is on either side of you, and if possible, turn around, apply it to what's behind you, and remain as indiscriminate as possible, just like we did in the first lesson. When you select the subjects for its application, don't concentrate on anything in particular, and don't attempt to include everything you see in a given area, or, it will cause strain and honestly a little bit of anxiety. Merely glance easily, fairly quickly around you, trying to avoid selection by size, brightness, color, material, or relative importance that something has for you. Just take them simply as you see them, and apply the exercise with equal ease, if you can, to a body as you would a button. And these things are difficult, but this is part of retraining our perceptions. I remember when I initially did this exercise, and I had written down in lesson 1, my pet, feeling like, of course he doesn't mean nothing, but as it builds, you begin to understand. Some people might look at a pet and it's like, it's just something that lives there. It means nothing to them. But our relationships we have with things is what builds this idea of what the meaning is that it has, and that we give it that meaning ourselves. The sole criterion for applying the idea to anything is merely that your eyes have lighted on it. Make no attempt to include anything in particular, but be sure that nothing is specifically excluded. Some things that I wrote down in my notes from this were my phone, this book even, my body, my books, my food, this apartment, etc. So again, take the week to practice that idea, and just when it occurs to you, kind of just glance around, like, this home holds all the meaning. I've given it all the meaning that it has. My relationships have all the meaning that they have because I've given it, etc. So I hope that lesson 2 is interesting for you. It's definitely built off of lesson 1, and to really be comfortable with lesson 2, you had to have done lesson 1. You know what I mean? You have to understand that nothing actually means anything before you can take on the responsibility of saying, oh, but these things that I thought did, I did that. I gave it that meaning, and thereby, as we progress, we can change those perceptions, those relationships, and all of our hurt and taking things personally all the time, feeling responsible for the emotions of others or how we perceive those emotions of others as well. So yeah, I'm going to stop there with that lesson, and let me know what you think about that in the comments, and if you're enjoying A Course in Miracles so far. Lastly, I have our crystal of the week, which is actually not a crystal at all, but it is Moldavite. I'm fairly certain that my camera will not pick up the intricacies of Moldavite. Let's see if you can, if I put some light on it, if you can see anything. Not really. But it is actually a very green color. When you're looking at it further away, it's almost like a foresty brown green, but when you look at it in the light, it's rather more like sea glass and glassy. It's a very interesting tone. So, Moldavite is one of the most unique and powerful stones that you could possibly have for yourself. And I chose this one specifically because it is so unique and so interesting, and I'm excited to share more about it with you if you haven't worked with it yet. And as always, if you have worked with it, I'd love to hear your experiences in the comments, and whatever else you'd like to share with anyone watching is very welcome. So Moldavite, and I only have a very little piece here. Moldavite is very pricey per gram compared to any other crystal, really. I suppose, besides diamonds. Herkimer diamonds, I suppose, are very expensive as well. But a little piece like this was something like $7 to $10. I don't remember exactly, but I think I spent about $10 on a little tiny piece like this. The reason it is so expensive is because there's a very limited supply. So now Moldavite, there's only one area where you can get it from. I mean, of course, you can get it from crystal shops or etc., but it only comes from one place. The reason for this being is that it is not indigenous to Earth per se. It is something that's original to itself. About 15 million years ago, how they know that date, I'm not exactly sure. I'm going to assume carbon dating or strata, layers or something. But 15 million years ago, a very large meteorite crashed to Earth in the area of Ries, Germany, what we would call Bavaria, southern Germany. And it impacted the Earth with such force that it was basically like an atomic bomb. And this meteorite, basically the particles were impacted with such heat, those fragments flew basically where all this Moldavite is now found in what we'd call the Czech Republic. And so there's only one place you can get it, which is the Czech Republic, where it comes from originally anyway. But it's not like anything else here, because this was a point of contact, and the heat and the fusion and all of that was just right to create this particular chemical compound. So some relate it to an alien kind of crystal type thing. In reality, it's not actually a crystal. The formation, the chemical compound, it's really a glass, and it's this greenish color, but it's a glass really. And even though it's not crystalline in structure, it is extremely powerful. And some believe it was already whole and came from space and plummeted to Earth, and that it's from an alien planet. I think pretty undoubtedly this is the product of a chemical reaction from the impact of this meteorite. But that is at least the history of how it was formed and where it comes from. I want to also mention that there are a lot of fakes, and because it's so expensive, be very careful, and I don't recommend buying it online. I recommend going to a crystal shop so you can inspect it yourself and also choose the piece that's right for you rather than just whatever gets sent to you. So one way in particular, I don't know, you probably can't really see it, but if anyone wants me to bring it to the next circle, sorry about my chipped fingernails here, but it's very feathery and wispy looking, sort of lacy. Jagged sort of, and not a surefire way, but a good way to know if it's fairly for sure authentic is you kind of shine a flashlight through it, and there should be air bubbles trapped inside from when it was formed. A lot of places will be selling like painted glass, really, or dyed glass. And so when you see those air bubbles inside, you pretty well know that that's a legitimate piece. So it's important to know that because it's so much more costly and it's a limited resource, some people will try and sell it a little bit more cheaply to get the sales, but it's not authentic. And you want the authentic one because it is so strong, trust me. So when you touch a Moldavite piece, it's so powerful that there's a word for what you feel when you're wearing it or holding it. You'll often experience what's called the Moldavite flush, where your whole body responds and gets hot. And this is so common that there's even a word for it. I've experienced it, and pretty much anyone else I know that's come in contact with Moldavite has experienced it. I actually was recently at a crystal shop with my nephew when I visited Tennessee a few weeks ago, and I was telling him about Moldavite, and he picked one up, and he was like, my whole hand feels hot, like I'm tingling. It's like, that's exactly what it is. And even he, who had not even been familiar with Moldavite before, had this experience. So you will get a heat throughout your body, a flush, like a heaviness of the muscles maybe, and a tingling. So really, because Moldavite is so powerful and so strong, and it really is one of the strongest crystals, it's really better to work with it briefly, for brief periods, and to be aware sort of what you're going into. So Moldavite, you sort of want to connect with for brief periods, and then when you're done, put it away from you and ground yourself. Best to walk outside barefoot for a while, like hug a tree, maybe spend some time with your black stones, eat a root vegetable, whatever grounding practice you like to do. I recommend that strongly after using Moldavite, because it is, honestly, it's rather ungrounding. It works very much in the 5D, and our 3D bodies kind of struggle to handle that much power. And if you've not worked with Moldavite or heard of it, you probably think I sound a little bit nuts, but if you get one, you'll believe me, because it's true. So I really, really strongly recommend not wearing it regularly until, or unless you feel very comfortable and you're very sure you feel very comfortable, and rather use it briefly, like in meditations, etc., and then put it away from you and ground after, always ground after. The way it works really is, the benefits to it, I should say, is that it accelerates your personal and spiritual evolution. Moldavite is very good for helping to develop psychic abilities, telekinetic abilities even. Really, it just offers you access to working with the 5D. It's just so very strong that it can grant you access through meditation, through dream work, through a easier connection with your spirit guides, etc. It's useful also for those that tend to feel homesick. You know what I mean? Like, there are some of those people that feel like they've never belonged here, like they've never fit in. Those people that might identify with Atlanteans or Pleiadians, starseeds, etc. So if you feel like you identify with the star child type persona, if you feel like maybe your home was not really originally Earth, maybe this is your first time here, this can be comforting to you. The Moldavite can make you feel more at home because it raises your frequency to what feels more natural for you. And I would say, if you are, Ayurvedically speaking, if you are a bit of a Vata person naturally, and you're a little more like, maybe you're an air sign, etc., definitely do the grounding though. You might be more comfortable with it if you're a star child, but if you're already, if you're very much an earth child, but you are already sort of living in the upper dimensions, and, maybe your brain is a little bit, maybe you're a little zoned out sometimes, and you find it difficult to be grounded and more kapha, then I would say to be very careful of Moldavite, and to be sure you're spending as much time at least grounded as you spend with Moldavite. So I would say, all in all, it's best used for the assistance of your spiritual journey. It's a spiritual stone because the frequency is one of the highest, the vibration is one of the highest, and it offers some of the strongest benefits, and the most noticeable, the fastest. And yeah, so I really don't recommend wearing it unless you've had it for a really long time. I've had mine for a really long time, and I've never worn it. But if you really are like, I am all about my spiritual journey right now, I want to do the astral projection, I want to see the spirits in my dreams, I want to work on telekinesis, I want to meet my spirit guides, whatever it is for you, if you want to sort of really focus on the 5D for yourself right now, then this is the stone that you want. And really, you don't need to get like the bigger, the stronger. I mean, honestly, if you get bigger, it might just be too overwhelming for you to even use. I find that this is completely strong for me. Just remember to ground and, be aware of the power that it holds. And yeah, that's all I got for that. I really wanted to share it because it's so unique and so interesting. And you hear a lot about amethyst and quartz points. And probably selenite is pretty popular, like we talked about last week. I would say amethyst is probably like the most popular crystal, really. But of course, there's tourmaline and obsidian, and these are things you hear about a lot. And I really wanted to share some that are a little bit less well known, and maybe some that you're less likely to have in your stash, maybe, and could expose you to new ideas of ways that you can use them and such. So it has been a half an hour, so it is my time to say goodbye. I really hope you enjoyed this second Sunday service, and thank you for watching the Sangha if you've been here or if you watch it on replay. And I will talk to you guys next week, if not sooner. See you later.